Hey everybody, hey. Hey. Alright, so welcome to matrices. So this is one of our sections that we're gonna do that actually pulls back stuff that's really good for the ACT and just helping out with different areas just to make sure you can do matrices and understand how they do what they do and everything. So with this, we're going to work with our matrices. We're going to talk about the different parts of it. We're going to go ahead and add them, subtract them, multiply them, and we're going to be doing some good stuff here. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this bad boy right here. We're going to throw some vocabulary words in here so that way we can actually understand what's going on. So just make sure you keep track of those vocabulary words, and they're going to be in red. Those words are going to be in red. All right, so our first vocabulary word that I'm going to use in my definition, not necessarily a definition for other people, but my definition is going to be the word matrix. So a matrix. Matrix. Ooh, matrix. Is created with rows and columns. Rows and columns. All right, so we know, for one, we should know what rows and columns mean, but I'm going to go ahead and explain it again just for anybody that's like, I'm confused, I'm lost, I don't remember what rows or columns are. What in the world? All right, so rows. If you think about when you go into like a movie theater or you go into like maybe church or some of that sort, you actually have you go down and you go into your rows, your pews, or in the movie theater you go down and you go over to the left or to the right into like those areas that are seats. Those are your rows. So that go left or right. So these are our rows. If that works in real life, that's the same thing's going to happen with matrices. Go left to right. Huh, makes sense, Mr. Hall. I gotcha. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. All right, and going up and down, if you think about, let's say like we're looking at a Coliseum or the Crown Coliseum or something of that sort, and you see like those big pillars, those big poles that go up and down. Those are considered our columns. So if you look at the Colosseum, like in Rome or other places, you see these big pillars. Those are your columns going up and down. Rows go left to right, columns go up and down. Yes, yes. Mr. Hall, we get this. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Wonderful, guys. That's wonderful. All right, now, matrices have dimensions. These dimensions are pretty much like how it's made, or how many this and how many of that makes up the matrix. So it has dimensions. But with it, we have to write it out a certain way. Right. So with it, just like you have like with paper, you have like a 8.5 by 11. Some cards you see are 6 by 4s, 3 by 5. All that great stuff that describes the look and the dimensions of that card or that paper or wood. That's a 2 by 4 wood or something of that sort. If you do wood shop or something, 2 by 4s. You have that. Same thing is going to happen when it comes to our matrices. We have dimensions. So with rows, the first dimension, the first part of the dimension is going to be the number of rows. To match rows right there. Huh? Number of rows? Rows. Hey! Right. So we talk about the number of rows. Not rose like a rose flower, but rows. It's not the same. All right, so rows. All right, now the columns are the second part of the dimension is your columns. So it's the number of columns, and that's going to make up your dimensions. Number of rows times the number of columns. All right, so this is going to be so easy, Mr. Hall. We got this. Now, one thing that always helps me to remember what's going on here and how things work out and how it flows and all that good stuff. There used to be a drink that we used to have at our school at 71st. It was called RC Cola. It was one of those things that it's like it's underneath the Cheerwine banner, and Cheerwine's actually made in North Carolina. So go ahead, North Carolina. Let's do something new. Let's do something that is for us that we do. All right. So RC Cola is kind of like a generic brand of Pepsi. Some people like it, some people don't. Normally the older people remember it. The younger people are just like, what is RC Cola? What? It's all what in the world? So some of you guys know what it is, some of you guys don't. So with that, RC Cola is just like almost like a generic brand of Pepsi type thing. It has a blue can, it has like red writing on it, like Pepsi does. So it's kind of similar to a Pepsi can, but it's not. It's different. So RC Cola is one of those that makes you remember of the order of the dimensions. So with it, we know R is for the rows, C is for columns. So RC Cola, rows, columns, cola, rows, column, cola, rows, columns, cola, rows, columns, cola. So RC Cola, think of rows, then columns, RC. And it keeps you in your head. It keeps it right there. So you don't forget it. All right. So we're going to go ahead and go into an example that we talk about our dimensions. And all we're going to do is just list the dimensions of them. All right. So with it, I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to write the example down here so that way you can go ahead and watch it and get all that good stuff. All right. So at this point, if you need to stop the video again, because I just kind of jumped to this part, if you need to go ahead and stop the video, stop it. Go ahead and write this down and go ahead and come back. And we're going to talk about our dimensions. RC Cola, rows, columns, cola. RC Cola, rows, column, cola, rows, column, cola. Yeah. All right, so we're moving forward here. So I'm going to go ahead and put down an X in between each one of them, just like we did up top there, so we can actually talk about our dimensions. We're going to talk about the rows, number of rows, and the number of columns. So for our first one here, we're going to look at the different colors. The colors, Duke, the colors. All right, so with that, let's see if we can find a good color. Let's do, oh well, this will work. All right, so again, we're talking about the rows and columns. So for our first one, we have one row here. We have another row here. So that's 2 rows. 2 rows. All right, the columns, there's 1 column here, a second column here. So we have 2 columns. So 2 rows, 2 columns. 2 rows, 2 columns. So the dimensions are 2 by 2. 2 by 2. All right, the next one. Again, we have 2 rows. Rows. And how many columns do we have? 1, 2, 3. We got 3 columns. 3 columns. All right. So now we got the last one. We got this, Mr. Hall. Mr. Hall, we got this. We got this. We're in there. We in there. Yeah. All right. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. 4 rows. All right. And then how many columns do we have? 1, 2, 3. So again, you got 3 columns. All right. So we have a 2 by 2 for the first, 2 by 3 for the second, a 4 by 3 for the third. Bam! Ow! Let's do this. So we're good. All right. So now we're gonna move on to the next part.